Welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm your host, Hamza Idris. On today's show, we'll be looking at some of the recent issues around politics, policy and governance, and specifically litigations ahead of 2023. But before then, we start with the extension of implementation of the 2022 capital budget by the Senate till March 2023 as one of our tidbits of the day. This development followed the consideration of passage of bill for an act to amend the 2022 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2022 to 31st March 2023 and for related matters 2022. Consequently, the Senate has also suspended its Standing Order 70 to enable it to read the bill for the first, second, and third time, and then its passage. In another development, Nigeria's Minister of Labor and Productivity, Chris Ngige, says plans are underway by the federal government to review upward civil and public servant salaries with a view to cushion the effect of the rising inflation in the country. Ngige, who spoke to State House correspondents after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, says the government will soon make a pronouncement on the increase, just as he described the outgoing 2022 as a year of disputes. And elsewhere, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has denied committing himself to offsetting the arrears of salary owed members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, by the federal government. The denial is contained in a statement issued by the Chairman, House Committee on Information, Benjamin Kalu. This followed the allegation by ASU President, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, that Gbajabiamila had failed to deliver on a written commitment that the government will offset the lecturers' salary arrears immediately after calling off their strike. And finally, on the tidbit, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has set 1-year jail term or a fine of 500,000 naira for anyone found guilty of vote buying during the 2023 elections. The INEC Commissioner in Jigawa State, Professor Muhammad Lawal Bashir, said this in an interview with newsmen. The Commissioner said the Electoral Commission is prepared to conduct free and fair election, hence there will be the use of bypass machine throughout the electoral process. And to discuss these issues and more, we are joined by Barrister Sam Kagbo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and Barrister Mainasara Omar. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Compliments of the season.
Compliment of the season.
Yeah. Well, we'll go on a quick break now, and when we come back, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome once again. Maybe I will start with Barrister Kago. The first tidbit of the day. Hours ago, the Senate approved, extension of the 2022 budget until March and approved nearly 1 billion because it's over 800 million. And they based this on the tragedy that's happening across Nigeria, the flood and other contingencies. What is your take? Is it possible for them to actually implement this budget fully by March, despite the extension?
They should, because I'm happy that the president has made it very known to almost all the civil servants and the public officers, including his own office, that the business of governance should not suffer in the hands of politics. So because let's see what the budget is about.
Yeah.
Unlike you as an individual that may do something by chance, government cannot do anything without money.
Yeah.
So if the government tells you or promises you to bring the moon to the ocean for you, the question you should ask is, where is the money? A government without money is no government. So irrespective of whatever grandstanding or promises they give you, it depends on the money. And the government cannot just go and pick money from the tilt of the state and start using it. It has to be budgeted for, and it has the budget itself has to be passed into law. So if the span or the lifespan of the budget has elapsed, it needs to be extended pending when this one that they are working on comes. So the question we ask is whether they can do it.
It's implementable or not.
Yes, it is. It is. And if for anything, I've always said so. Any serious government should take every aspect of governance like, what would I say, a 24-hour job. You know, it's an emergency. We are doing a catch-up business in almost every aspect of our life. So now that they've given them the opportunity, I would hope that they will not use the money for elections, or they will not, you know, because most times too, when this sort of nebulous projects and items come on the eve of election, you have to be wary, because most time it's just a facade for them to get the funds.
Barrister Mainasara, what is your take? Because in the papers, you know, taken to the Senate by President Muhammadu Buhari, he said this addition will be funded through domestic borrowing. And if you look at the budget in its entirety, almost half of it now, because the deficit is approaching 9 trillion or thereabout. And you can see Barrister Kabo just now said the fear is whether they will actually use it for the purposes. They said they will expand, I mean, complete dams, you know, some roads projects and all that. What is your take on this?
Well, in all honesty, well, as a citizen, I have the civic obligation to support whatever they passed, because they are the authorities of the country. But personally speaking, I'm not comfortable with the supplementary budget they are bringing at this material time. Number one, the flooding didn't happen now. And number two, the agencies responsible for the management of disasters and these type of things, you know, they have not accounted for the money budgeted for them for 2022 to warrant, you know, additional increase.
Okay.
The number three.
That's we are talking about from January. We are now in December.
We witnessed the flooding, and states have been crying for assistance, for help, for this thing.
Maybe they are going to use this
you understand?
addition to do that.
You understand? No, what I am saying is, what have they done on ground right now first regarding the disaster? This is a disaster recorded, unprecedented in the past 40 years.
Since 20.
That is one. Then secondly, the timing is equally wrong. If it is at the time when we are expecting passage of 2023 budget, then suddenly they are bringing budget. Look at the figure; it's close to $1 trillion, not close to $1 billion. So if they are bringing such a figure, what was wrong in infusing it with the 2023 budget, so that they will
just close the other books and carry on?
Otherwise, it's making the budgetary experiment in the country untidy, and it's not really decorum. It's not really neat for them at this material time. This is a time when the government should concentrate in asking for auditing regarding the spendings in the year 2022, so that we'll be able to have integrated record of the sanity level of the budget implementation in 2022.
Okay, Barrister Kamo, the Orosanya report, but there are stories today that the National Assembly, they are planning to float or to create over 350 MDAs, in addition to the ones we have, at a time when the president said, you know, he commissioned another committee to actually see to the implementation of the Orosanya report, which aimed at, you know, trimming
downsizing.
Yes, and cutting costs. How do we justify this? Are they really, this administration, are they really running against time or they are just using some of these things as kite to actually entice voters? Look at Ngige in our second tidbit saying that they will increase workers' salary. What are we really actually looking at?
Well, I would say a curious and suspicious activities from the National Assembly. Let's face it. You see, we are dying because of this our supermarket mentality.
Okay, supermarket mentality.
Yeah, we want to have everything on the shelves. You know, perhaps you know, we like
without proper planning.
Yeah, we like the glitz and all of that. We had very tidy components of the federation. We say no, you know, let's balkanize it and have. And for every sector you cut off from another sector, you are doubling the cost. You are doubling the cost to the extent that in the First Republic, I think the person who ruled the Southwest had about 9 secretaries from Lagos to Asaba.
Yeah.
9. Today, just think about the number of public officers on that route. The same thing. You have the police, you have the civil defense, you have the road safety. Everybody wants to carve out a kingdom for itself, for himself.
What are the federal and state level?
You know, for every one of these, the cost.
And we came to my mind.
It's keep building up to the extent that you are having about 80% on recurrent expenditure. What would you have for capital expenditure? And unfortunately, the same people who are consuming the 80% of the recurrent expenditure are the same people who are also feeding on 80% of the 20% remaining through corruption.
This administration has less than 7 months.
Yeah, but usually this is why we all need to be a little bit on the alert. You see, the politician can do anything to woo the electorate because we have been so battered that we want to hear anything good.
Yeah.
We don't cross-check. We don't do a reality check. Like I said, somebody would say he will bring the moon to the ocean for you, and you will believe him. So much so that the politicians have become, what do they call them now? What do they call this alternate to pastors? What do they call them now? This
soothsayers.
No, not soothsayers. What do they call this? No, those motivational speakers.
Yes,
okay.
yes,
You understand?
yes.
That's the same as the pastors. That's what they now do. The same thing. The politicians have now gotten into it, and they are getting us. They are taking all our youth from us and giving them all of these promises because we are also not attentive.
Yeah, okay, we are not attentive, but Sarah, who should we blame?
Well,
is it the electorate should blame themselves or who? Because just 2 months ago, Governor Wike, you know, appointed nearly 200,000 special advisors or special assistants. I don't know what he called them, and I don't know how much they are going. Even if it is 10,000, you can imagine 200,000 people.
You see, I do not so much blame the politicians.
Okay.
The sociology of the politics we play is the main cause of all these problems. These agencies they talk about are not really agencies per se. I read into the details of it. They are institutions, not agencies.
Well, they all lump them as
they are institutions. For example, about 2/3 of them are colleges of education, universities, and polytechnics. And the entirety of these falls under agencies like NUC.
There are hospitals also. And
yes, but all of them, they are not agencies as such, but institutions under some already established agencies. But by and large, the motive is simply the National Assembly members haven't realized that time is really too late. Everyone is scrambling to say, yes, my constituency people, I have created this for you. So that it will be the Greek carrot that they will grab into as the basis of them to get re-elected. The number one spirit of a politician
is
once
the twilight of an administration.
Exactly. So
you look at the number of those who will even come back at the National Assembly.
So all those bills that they have reached second or third level of reading, I do not think the president will just dumble his hand into endorsing them. And besides, even the Oresanya report, for example.
So they are more or less like fraud.
We have hundreds of reports like that.
Besides Oresanya.
Exactly. The ones completed by the National Assembly, the ones established
and you know,
by professional bodies.
Once we have the text
they
are going to send all this to trash.
Everything is going to start afresh if it has not gotten the assent of the president. So all these are those additional spices into the drama, political drama.
So somebody, are you saying
but I do not believe
the electorate should blame themselves for allowing themselves making themselves gullible?
Yes. What I'm talking about, the sociology of the politics we find ourselves in, is that when you look at the political institutions, the legal system itself, the regulations guiding the operations in the country.
You're talking about institutions
all of them are imported.
Okay.
All of them are imported. They are not in tandem with the cultural peculiarities of the people, the demands and the aspirations, the history and the sociology of the people of Nigeria. And that is the reason why we always have problems. The sincere demand of the nation now is not these institutions they are creating. The sincere demand, the primary responsibility of the governance under Section 14 of the Constitution is security and welfare of the citizens.
We have many issues.
So we have not gotten security problem solved. We have not gotten the problem of anti-corruption even ameliorated, talk less of solved completely. The issue of economy, look at the issue of economy. So these are the things that we expect both the National Assembly and the Executive to have a marriage of trust, so that at the end of it, citizenry will be able to see really, yes, democracy is at work, rather than...
Senior advocate, in one breath, you can see the speaker responding to ASU, you know, exonerating him so that he didn't actually promise them that their monies will be paid. We're talking about salary and other entitlements. Isn't another breath in Gige saying, you know, civil servants should start smiling because their pay is going to be increased? Who is actually deceiving who?
It's difficult to say because we were not there during the negotiations. But let's put that aside. Let's face the reality. Honestly speaking, I'm prayerful. I'm hopeful that the next government will pay attention to ASU. There are ASU and the bench. Any government that is able to address that for me, even if just those two, within 4 years, believe me, I'll record that government higher than any other government.
Wow.
Because these issues are at the center of whatever you may be thinking of. As a parent, either about your children or your wards, you know what it is for you to have to go to a public university, a private university, for the education of your child or your ward. It's expensive. Yes, Nigeria is providing the cheapest public education in the world.
Wow. In the whole world?
In the whole world, there is no way.
Except, I learned that.
Except where, like the Scandinavians, where you have it for free. Those ones or the other, perhaps, I don't know about the Chinese or those other.
But even in UK, they said like basic education is free. I don't know.
To an extent, but you know what they do? What they don't take for you, from you at the
through the taxes you pay, it's like you are actually paying for that.
But here it's cheap. Honestly speaking, people are paying 50-something thousand naira, 54, 57 per annum as a school fees. Even if you're a medical doctor, even if you're a lawyer, it's unthinkable. You understand? But let us pay attention to it to the extent that we take it back, even if we can't take it to where it was in the 60s and early 70s, where Nigeria had about 5 universities in the bracket of the first 100 universities in the world.
Yeah.
Where the university lecturer was much more respected and earned better than the minister.
Yeah.
Where,
or even president.
Yeah, where almost everybody who was who in every area of learning in the world wanted to come to Nigeria. The best of brains in the world wanted to come and compete here with the other brains that were available. That was the foundation for the sort of spread of Nigerian professionals across the world.
Yeah.
There is hardly anywhere in the world where you don't find Nigerians being part of the foundation of their education system. Talk of South Africa. Even in the developed world, Nigerian academics were, or graduates, were very, very much sort of.
But you can see they live in agony
we
here.
just lost it. And because we did not see the correlation between the quality of our education, our surrender value, what I mean by surrender value, after all the processing, the graduate you throw to the market is your capital. What is the value? How competitive is that capital? Of course, they say our doctors are highly sought after. The teachers, they say they are highly sought after. But what about the other areas? I am not too sure. Coming back to the issue, you see, Ngige is not somebody I want to listen to at this point.
Okay.
Because, you see, I don't know why he is still there.
Okay.
But if not on television, I would have said he looks cranky.
Oh my God.
You understand? So I don't want to go there. So let's put him aside. The person that I feel cannot afford to play politics is Femi, because his own involvement was very pivotal to the settlement of the, because they respect his institution. Not just for him. You understand? They bypass Ngige, and through his own involvement, we have this. I would not want to have this sort of a stand or posture of saying, I didn't say so, I didn't say so. Let them say, let's buy time and see how we work on it. Because definitely you cannot push it aside.
But they say they were swindled.
You understand? You cannot say you won't attend to that matter. What do you call it now? Those areas. No, if you don't go back to those areas, then you have not been faithful to the reconciliation process. You know, because it's a give and take thing. You cannot have it all. You cannot say, okay, I stand by my own position that no work, no pay, and yet you want them to come. No. To me, that's bad faith.
Okay. Barrister Menasara, in a word or two, do you see all these, the issues we discussed, as booby trap for the incoming administration?
You know, a typical politician, there's always a river of distinction between his body and his mind. That is what the speaker is portraying now. Otherwise, what prevents you from, as speaker, initiating a bill to just like this?
And do the first, second, and third reading as the Senate did.
The supplementary appropriation president is bringing. Why can't you do supplementary this? And you are in the eminent position to do it.
Instead of allowing it to remain,
so that we will have, a lasting panacea to the ASU. If truly you are having your mind and the body are at par. I mean, at marriage, the time you were discussing with the district, what is difficult in solving the ASU problem? All the district you have agreed, you said you look into it. Now the president is bringing an appropriation because of flood. It's a point of emergency. Equally, the case of ASU is relevant enough to be considered along that pattern, so that we will be able to have a lasting panacea on it.
Thank you very much for your take on these important topics of the day. And now we'll go back to our topic of discussion: judiciary and litigations ahead of 2023. Barrister Kagbo, I heard it somewhere that Nigerian politicians are the worst also in terms of instituting litigations. If you compare them with their counterparts around the world, why?
Well, it's not just about the Nigerian politicians. We don't have that spirit of give and take.
Okay. And, spirit of give and take.
Yeah, we are not that forgiving. We are actually very, very religious, but less spiritual.
Okay.
You understand? And you see, we speak our religions. We don't act our religion. You know, that's the void that you see manifesting in this array of litigations.
Yeah.
The American election, midterm election, is just around the corner. But how many of
those that participated in the primaries
have
went
you
to
heard
court?
of they are in court? We don't have that spirit, honestly speaking, and it has, in essence, actually, I don't want to use the word, but it has messed up the legal system and the entire judicial system, because it has overburdened the system. It has just come and clogged the system. And unfortunately for us, the politicians, cleverly, what did they do for themselves? They said for their own grievances and their own litigations, it should be within a given time. 180 days from beginning to the end, it must be concluded. You know what that has done? It has taken all the energy from all the other areas of our life and zero it on the elections. How many judges do we have in this country? Even if you bring all of them and throw them to pre-election matters, they can't finish them within months. And as long as they are handling them, what do you have? All the other matters would have to be stayed. If you have a fundamental human rights issue, you have to pray that you have a breather or a space for a judge who is free. If you have a criminal matter and you are on the death row, you have to wait. And mind you, there are conventions that we've all signed and be part of that are talking against torture. But there are aspects of litigation that by themselves are a form of torture.
Yeah, psychological torture.
Yeah, whatever you call it is real, the pain is real. You understand? And this is all because of what? Political cases. Look at the number of cases that you have from pre-election matters.
Well, the INEC chairman actually said they are joined in 600 pre-election matters after the primaries. 600, INEC alone. Is it that our electoral system is so flawed that almost at the slightest provocation, you see somebody running to the court?
You know that figure the INEC chairman said pre-election. In total, there are over 1,800 cases. 1,800? Of which INEC is a party, currently. So it's so enormous that I don't know how we will be able to solve this monster. But the reality of it is that
it's really a monster.
The legal system needs some very serious clinical surgery. If we want,
you're talking about the legal system.
The legal system
as
a
whole.
Politicians. Not just the politicians.
Okay, how?
You understand? Every legal system should reflect the character of the people in the society. Otherwise, it cannot serve as an island there, and you expect it to solve the societal problems.
Okay.
For example, when you look at what is going on now, it is very, very important. We've been calling on the establishment of anti-corruption, not anti-corruption, election offences tribunal or election offences, so that sections 230 to 304 can be amended to really get a place for
independent courts,
independent political offences court. If you have that one as a specialized, the hue and cry of taking away the attention of the judiciary, you understand, will be minimal, because we will be able to have expert, independent, probably from the bar, excellent well-tested statesmen of my brother Kabo here, those type of people should be there as not from the traditional judicature, should be there to man this court. Can be a court of summary trial, for example.
Okay.
Within 2 to maximum 6 weeks, you adjudicate and deliver judgment. And then it is a very good sanitary system to really bring sanity into our political type of power play. And then there are other areas too in the dissent that are not helping matters.
In the Electoral Act?
No, in the Constitution.
Okay, in the Constitution.
For example, if you take sections 175 and 216, that talks about this prerogative of mercy. There is no reason why somebody has committed one crime against humanity or against the state. You just say you have pardoned him. Or section 308 that talks about immunity, for example. Then you are not in the first place doing justice to those that person has cheated. So there should be equality before the law in the intendment of section 36 of the Constitution.
Meaning I can see you, the two of you landed when you talk about immunity, meaning you are all aggrieved of sorts?
So in all honesty, the legal system needs to seriously be panel-beated to accommodate these emerging challenges if we are really serious to practice the borrowed democracy.
Thank you very much. We will go for a break. When we come back, I will ask whether the Electoral Act amendment is actually a serious problem also, especially in relation to pre-election matters. Viewers, we will go for a break. Please don't go away. And when we return, the program continues.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and do well to follow our conversation across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I have in the studios Barrister Kagbo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and Barrister Mainasara Omar. Thank you for being part of the program. Yes, I was saying before we went on break that the Electoral Act, the amended Electoral Act, said all pre-election matters should be decided, as well as all elections, problems arising from elections should be decided before inauguration, right?
Yes.
Is it possible with now the over 1,800 cases that we have, and we're also going to have as many as possible, maybe from February?
Those provisions are actually constitutional provisions, from Section 285 of the Constitution. The federal, the Electoral Act can only re-echo.
Okay.
It can't make law, and just like INEC cannot tell you, prescribe the jail term for anybody who does anything, he cannot. The laws are already there. I think they are just re-echoing them. But to me, the worry I have is the Supreme Court should help itself and help the lower cadre courts by narrowing the cases that they would attend to.
Okay.
The Constitution has already defined what constitutes a pre-election matter. If you ask me, I give it a strict interpretation.
Okay.
No reason for exceptions. Because the moment you open any door for any liberal interpretation, you get this floodgate. Before now, I thought we would have been developing and solidifying the jurisprudence that the only pre-election matters are those ones that are a fallout of primary elections.
Yeah.
Every other thing that the political parties do to themselves, let them kill themselves.
Okay.
They have better things to do. You understand? I would have, but we're getting some feelers where the line is
very thin.
Is getting thinner and thinner, and there are windows that the politicians are now throwing themselves through into the fray to allow for this barrage of cases. I would have said, but let me talk about what he is saying. The structure of our court system, I think, would need to be expanded. Let's borrow from where we borrowed our own democratic system and presidential system from. I did a study through the auspices of the State Department of the U.S., of the legal system of the USA, and I benefited a lot. And since then, my mind has been saying that why can't we do what they are doing? For an example, there is no reason why we shouldn't be having the state high courts and the state appellate system.
Okay.
You understand? People are saying the governors would appropriate everything and make nonsense of everything. If the people are docile, let them be fried with their own oil.
Okay.
You understand? But let's try and
it's more or less like decentralization.
Let's federate the legal system.
Okay.
Let's, you see, yes, also you have the problem, because like in the US, the only matters that are of concern to the federal system are matters within the Federalist, about 9 or so. So every matter outside that, no, is for the states.
Yeah.
But here, the problem we have how many matters under the exclusive list? So many of them. So every area of that is why we are having this. And you see, the US system has, for the federal courts, they have the circuit system, which is like regional high court, courts of appeal.
Okay.
They attend to this region.
Yeah.
And theirs is only about this region. And whatever matter that passes through them that is not heard within the year at the Supreme Court, it's a bit. The Supreme Court does not take matters over. No. They don't have matters that you will say is spillover of last year.
Okay.
Every matter that is heard is filed this year. If it is not heard, it's a bit. The decision of the Court of Appeal endures.
Yeah.
You understand? But the matters that the Supreme Court here, these are purely policy-setting matters. If they had made a decision over an issue, they can never reopen it. The only time they would have is when you have society being so elastic to the point that they now have to what? Come and reconsider this decision. For example, the decision as to who is a woman within the context of America. Those ones would have to also be decided by the Supreme Court, because what? Society has diluted the components of a woman. You understand? Fine. But beyond that, they know what you, even as a litigant, you know what to take to the Supreme Court. But here, if you look at me in a way and I said you are insulting me and will go to court, that matter, before it dies, the Supreme Court must say a word about it.
Which ordinarily shouldn't be so.
That is the thing.
But Mr. Menesara, here we only have one Supreme Court. Of course, we have one Court of Appeal, but it has, divisions, and it helps in reducing some of the problems we have at the center. Will you subscribe the Supreme Court having similar divisions as we do for the appeal court?
Well, first of all, the lucky side of it is that most of our political matters terminates at the Court of Appeal level.
Yeah.
That is first of all. But going from the broader perspective of the judicature in Nigeria, I think it's high time we call for unbundling of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because when you go to the Supreme Court, the learned silk is aware, I think there are only 3 courtrooms in the Supreme Court. And these courtrooms, one is for ceremonies, when they will be robbed. They will be robbed.
But even if you talk about the people, the Supreme Court judges,
11 of them.
The judges are inadequate as far as the constitutional demand. So when you look at it in such this thing, I am advocating for either of 2 things. Either you make judicial divisions for the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Supreme Courts maybe 6 to 10, 12 divisions of the Supreme Court, or you professionalize Supreme Court. In other words, you should be able to have, like, say, like the 24 common law subjects, you should have Supreme Court of Constitutional Matters, Supreme Court of Criminal Matters, Supreme Court of Land Law, Supreme Court of Commercial Matters.
Do we have such in other clients?
You understand? Why can't the world copy from us?
Okay.
It is a voodoo for you to always say
that
what
we have
is
to copy from
going
other
on
places.
in America. Why can't America copy from us? So that we will have Supreme Courts under one central administration, the Chief Justice of the Federation and the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court. You understand? And then these are courts of specialization. Yeah. So whatever matter you have goes to its own.
But even with the single one we have now, it is still not really.
No, what I am saying, it will take care of the congestion, because now, let me tell you.
Do you have the capable hands? That is
listen,
the question.
There are more than enough hands. The Constitution did not say.
Where is the missing link?
Listen, the Constitution did not say there are Supreme Court judges appointed from the bar. There are Supreme Court judges we have in history appointed from the academic. Okay. You understand? The law did not say that it must be in queue of seniority from the Court of Appeal to Supreme Court, which is the dogmatic traditional way we are going. You understand? So if we go about it, we have more than adequate hands in the country. By the time you now do, for example, now, if you file any appeal at the Supreme Court, except if it falls under fundamental rights or the government is having interest or something, you hardly get it listed within 20 years.
But it's like, did you share the same sentiment with him?
The traffic
actually having this specialized
the traffic of cases
Supreme Court.
In the Supreme Court.
Will you agree with him, or you have a contrary?
You know, I would. No, I don't want to second guess him. You know what I would do? Okay. I will go to the beginning.
Because you know that silks,
I am talking
at the same
about
compartment with it.
I am talking about my own experience, right?
Yes.
So I'm just reliving it. Okay. There is no intellectual analysis here.
Okay.
In most states in the U.S., you have courts, specialized courts, and that is at the trial level.
You see?
You have specialized courts for almost everything.
Wow.
Almost everything, and it's structured.
So the traffic is really less.
No, you know, if you are going to this court, you know the matter you are going for.
Exactly.
It's not, they are not generalist courts like we have here. Here, the High Court has everything, you know. But in itself, it has its drawback.
Okay,
you know,
that's specialized.
Yeah, because you don't create room for specialization, and the thing becomes very tedious. You are always hearing, it's like an ear that hears discordant voices every day. You are coming to court today, you hear a criminal matter, you have a fundamental rights matter, you have a contract matter, you have and for each time, you have a time limit within which to make your rulings and your own judgment. So you don't have no judge. Okay. You must be exceptional. That would say, let me get back and do a sort of expansive reading on any subject. And that is why you see when people blame them for perhaps what they say quality of judgment, I say that's unfair. You know, even you as a lawyer, if you have to write 5 briefs in a week, you know what that one would tell on your health. Either address or brief, but no matter what, if you are to sit, because within that time, you are away from your family, you are away from yourself, not talk of the society.
Very sad. I have a follow-up question to this.
Yeah, so this also comes to the issue of federating the judiciary.
Okay.
If you have the court system within the states that goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Every state should have its own Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. They go to this one so that it's only federal matter. But even as at that, we also have to unbundle the items that have been donated to the federal government. Because if you look at the Constitution as it is now, it would be foolhardy to talk about state high courts, Court of Appeal, because the items in the constitutions, when I say items, those things within the powers of the state are narrow and sometimes inconsequential, because almost the entire things that make your life or that are important to your life have already been donated to the and that is why even for my own profession it's regulated by federal authorities, not the state where I do my practice. You understand? So it's that bad. So if you ask me, if we're able to first and foremost look at the issue of restructuring.
Yeah.
As I think
restructuring
it should be. Let's take away some of these materials, these items from the federal government and give it to the state.
Yeah.
And let us also encourage the state to make their own money. And let us also encourage the state to develop in their own likeness and image. Then we can have these things we are talking about. But for now, they are esoteric. But yes, in terms of next door here, Cotonou, up to Mali, they have their own constitutional courts. Yeah. So those courts deal with political matters. So they don't interfere with the ordinary matters. And we have enough manpower.
Okay, enough manpower. Let me drop it. Okay.
Yeah, let me drop it. Many of these people who are retiring at 65, at 70,
they still have
still very useful.
Okay, that they could be
Why don't you make those courts and make them courts that are populated or empowered by these people who are retiring?
But beyond this, there is this insinuation that most of the cases are actually needless. They need not to go to court, but you lawyers are being accused of actually instigating politicians to go, forum shopping, as you call it, from this court to move to this one. I'm quoting the INEC chairman. He said, in one day, a certain political party instituted 70 court cases against the commission. Time lapsed for them to finish their primaries, to submit names of their candidates, but they were unable to do it because of their internal problem. And now they join INEC in one day, 70 cases. Don't you think you also have your problems, you lawyers?
I do believe we are the greatest problem of Nigeria's democracy. One should be sincere to himself. Let me tell you.
Okay.
During the year 2022,
yes,
the Chief Justice of the Federation is facing accusations.
Yes,
politically related accusations. The chairman of the body of benches is equally faced. The last NBA president before this one, Paul Usoro I'm talking about, equally faced political related issues. You understand? So even within ourselves,
the problem is
we are having this problem. And the overzealousness of most of the lawyers thinking that their license to practice is a ticket for meal.
Yeah, so they institute all kinds of court cases.
So professional ethics regarding these type of things, a lawyer, as the sanitizer of the society,
they should live by that.
Vicegerents of God, trying to represent God to bring justice, fair play, and other things. I don't see it in greater number, with due respect, of our brothers, the Nigerian lawyers. So that is why I said it should be. Listen to me. It should be a comprehensive restructure. There are many things that are really not in tandem with our customs, culture, and tradition. Even the time will not allow us.
Yes, I will bring you back honestly to discuss. I want to take your last.
I will advocate for its abolition.
Thankfully, he's my classmate too.
Okay.
And all of this moral.
And these days, all these politicians, they go for science. Because they want to be seen.
Listen, we were not taught about these moral conclusions.
Okay.
So I respect him with his own conclusions. But let me say something.
Okay, in a minute.
For the politician,
Yes.
believe me, there is no politician you would tell me that he needs a prompting. Because this is how they work. They come to you, you tell them what the truth, he jumps to the other
Barrister,
lawyer.
I know that on many occasions,
Yes.
when we go to court, because
Yes.
we also have so many litigations, from,
Yes.
But when we ask the lawyers, sometimes they will tell you that it is one lawyer who went to the, vendor's stand. He reads, certain story, and then he now look for the number of somebody. And look, Daily Trust or Punch or whatever, they have carried so you have a case. And I can go there for you. Before you know,
No.
there is a summon.
No, that's not because
No.
you see we don't do ambulance chasing.
Okay.
You understand? You have to wait until somebody comes and briefs you, and when he does, like I
Maybe
do,
the sons. That is
No.
because you are expensive.
I was
Custodians
not
of the ethics.
I was not
The
called
sons.
to the bar as a son. I practiced for a long time, before I became a son. So I'm talking about this as a lawyer now.
Okay.
You understand? And I can tell you for free, that perception is wrong.
Okay.
Most times you are telling the client to say, listen, this is my own idea. He's going to leave it to say, oh no, I'll go and meet the other person. And if he is your client already, if he leaves you, he's
if he
gone.
has retainership or
You
something
understand?
like that, yes.
What you are not supposed to do is trying to play games with what you are supposed to do as a lawyer. Don't cook up evidence. Don't go and start
Encourage forum shopping,
misleading the court. You understand? Don't do that. Make sure that give the case as he gives it to you and leave the court. If the court say, hey, what you filed is rubbish, and should not be heard, and he dismisses it, you tell him, this is my thought. There are so many cases that I did at the trial court. Other people took it to the Supreme Court. Because what? They want to become stars.
They want to add
good
the number
luck.
of-
I wish we have more time to
good luck.
discuss it, but in 10 seconds, please.
Yes.
The way forward ahead of 2023, how do we actually trim the number of litigations? Just in 10 seconds. I know, Hassan, you should be able to tell
We
me.
cannot. We will only be hopeful that the Supreme Court takes charge.
Okay.
Because they have to save themselves.
And the Chief Judge said that.
They have to save themselves from this, because I can tell you for free, people don't care about them. Tomorrow, you leave that court, you are forgotten.
Thank you very much. And your last take
It's,
on this?
it's almost,
how to
it's
trim
almost
the
too
number?
late to take any action, but nevertheless, I still strongly advocate for establishment of political offences court as a serious court that will be able to sanitize political
Thank
power.
you very much, Barrister Mainasara Umar, for your informed perspective ahead of 2023. Barrister Agagbo, thank you.
Thank
and
you
we
very
hope
much.
to have you, because we need to discuss this. There are so
Thank
many
you.
issues, actually.
Anytime, any day.
Yes, viewers, I wish we have more time to continue talking on litigations ahead of 2023. But sure, we are going to have another edition of the program. For now, this is where I will stop. Thank you for being with us, and join us for another interesting edition of the program. I'm Hamza Idris.